How's it going? Welcome back. My name is Braden Friedel. I'm the Director of Growth here at the Baird Group, and today I have a very special guest, Michael Baird, our team founder. And today we're going to do something a little different. I want to give you guys some free advice, a little bit of coaching, because this market is very tough, but right now we are just crushing it as a team. And so I'm going to have Michael here help just give you guys some coaching points if you're struggling right now or if you're just wanting to grow your business and do more. So, Michael, how's it going? Thank you for joining.
Yeah, absolutely, Braden. Always good to be here. Excited to dig into some of this. We just want to provide value to agents out there, whether they are on our team or not. I think a better agent in the market is always a good thing. Better for the consumer, better for the industry overall. So excited to jump in.
Awesome. So let's kick this off. So if an agent came to you and said, I haven't generated any business, and they need to get up and running in maybe the next 30 to 45 days, what would be maybe like two or three things you would say, hey, this is what you need to do to get the ball kind of rolling?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think we look at the stats, there's a vast majority of agents aren't really selling anything.
Yeah.
And I think it really comes down to having conversations. What is this business about? This business is about conversations. It's about talking to people. It's about making those connections to find out who needs help and how we could go help them. The average agent, I think, that is struggling sits back and waits for business to come to them rather than going out and proactively finding people to help.
Yeah.
And our job is to go find those motivated people that want to buy, want to sell, and maybe there's a little bit of fear behind it. So what I would say, tactical things you could do, go have 5 conversations every day with someone about real estate. I don't care if it's at the grocery store. I don't care if you're knocking doors, calling leads, whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
Go have 5 conversations. If you have 5 conversations about real estate every day and you find out how you can help people, you're going to have success. You're going to have opportunity. And there's going to be plenty of people out there to help. So 5 conversations every day. And then number 2, stick to a schedule. Okay, if you're having those 5 conversations a day, don't wait and say, I'll do it later in the day. Have your time block where you're going to do that. Maybe it's you're going to go out and door knock from 12 to 1 every day. Maybe you're going to make prospecting calls from 9 to 10 every day. Have that in your schedule, because what I found with myself and with most real estate agents is that if it's not on our schedule, we tend to procrastinate, we put it off, we don't do it on Monday, we end up not doing it on Tuesday, and then all of a sudden we had the best plans, we had the best intentions to go do that work, but we end up not doing it. So I'm going to start really simple because I think people over mystify it. 5 conversations every day, and put that in your schedule. Have a really great schedule and stick to it on a daily basis.
Yeah, and you mentioned a great point about, going to the grocery store, like going out and having to actually put yourself out there to have these conversations. I think, would you kind of clarify a little bit, because it's like one thing to have a conversation about real estate, but also there's another piece of that is like asking for business, which I think is something a lot of agents don't do. I mean, even in our office, I know it's something we see sometimes as agents just forget to ask that little extra piece of, to like kind of have that next step in their conversation. So if somebody came to you and they were like, hey, maybe I'm new in this business, or maybe I haven't had a lot of coaching or training around how to actually have a solid conversation with a client, what is like something you would recommend they go do to get those repetitions and actually, tailor that craft?
So to get better at actually asking for business and getting business, that's a great question. And I think fundamentally we start off with, if you never ask, the answer is always no.
Yeah.
How many agents are killing themselves by not asking for business? They're afraid of rejection, so they don't even ask, right? So you're going to get nothing if you ask for nothing. So first and foremost is, if you're struggling, really, hey, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to ask for business. I'm going to try to get better. And then as far as skills, whether it's our team, another team, some sort of coaching, we've talked about this in here before, investing in coaching, investing in training, changed my career, changed my life. And I think every agent owes it to themselves to get some sort of training, some sort of investment in their skills. Because if you go set your schedule, have your conversations, you're going to get better just by doing it. But if you also practice when you're not talking to clients, if you do role play, if you practice with other agents, if you work on your craft, you're going to get so much more out of those conversations you're having. So I think simply going and asking for business, asking for appointments is the number one thing.
Okay. We did if you haven't seen that video, we have covered, how important coaching is and how it can help you really get jump started and avoid a lot of mistakes, right? A lot of agents just throw the kitchen sink at the wall and see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So, for somebody who's out there and, maybe, like I said, maybe they're new, they're struggling, or maybe it's just they're already doing really great business and want to start growing. What would you say is like, this is what you need to focus on daily? Just make this like the number one thing to spend some time on, and you can start seeing those results.
Well, so somebody that's already doing business, okay, so we talked about somebody that's not really doing business.
Yeah.
And now we're talking about somebody that's doing business. What I see so often with real estate agents is that when they start being successful, they change what got them there, right? So it's kind of I think a trick question in that when somebody's struggling, I say go have conversations, talk to people, talk about real estate, and ask for the appointment. What I see all too often is a new agent will join our team, a lot of opportunities, they're talking to a lot of people, a lot of appointments, they start getting business, and they stop prospecting, they stop talking to people, they stop doing the things that got them the business. So if you're out there crushing it, what I would say is the business you have today was generated 90 to 120 days ago. So what were you doing 90 to 120 days ago? You probably were doing something a little different than you were right now when you're really busy. So when you're busy and you think, I got to answer all those emails, I got to make sure this deal closes. Yes, you do. You need to tend to the business you have, but you also have to remember what got you that business and keep doing those fundamentals that keep you busy.
Okay. And then, let's piggyback off of that to, maybe a new agent who's just like, hey, I'm doing open houses. I am trying to reach out to Sphere and have, X amount of phone calls a day. What else would you kind of encourage them to go and do, right?
So I think you always want to have 3 pillars to your business, right? If all you do is open houses, that can dry up. We could have COVID happen and open houses become illegal, right? You need to have 3 pillars to your business. So, on our team, our 3 main pillars that we look at are open houses, online leads, and your sphere of influence, right? Every agent should be working their sphere of influence, people that know them, like them, trust them, past clients if you've been doing it long enough. Open houses, I think, is a great way because you get face-to-face with people who are interested in real estate. So it's easy to have those real estate conversations. And then I'm partial to online leads. We have done that forever. That's how I started my business. I think it's a great way to get people who are raising their hands. And usually it requires an investment unless you join a team that generates leads. But online leads, I think, is a great way. So what I would say to an agent who is doing well, growing their business, is look at, do you have 3 pillars to your business? And it doesn't have to be those 3. It could be expired listings, it could be door knocking, it could be whatever it is, but don't rely only on one source of business because that can dry up pretty quickly.
Yeah, and too, right, like, I think a lot of people, they get in and they think, oh, I got to do social media and these types of things. You keep going back to the basics, which are door knocking, open houses, right? Just having conversations with people and putting yourself out there. Let's kind of pivot a little bit, but, what would you say is like the number one thing that somebody could do right now to go and find business?
So number one thing right now, if we look at something that is basically free other than your time and something that a lot of agents are hesitant to do, but gets you in front of people to talk real estate, we talked open houses, right? So I think first and foremost, your sphere, your past clients, if you have past clients, that is something that I'm not even going to mention because you should be doing that. You should be reaching out to your sphere. They should know you're in real estate. You mentioned social media. You should be active on social media so people know what you're doing. Yeah. Okay, so I'm not even going to mention that. That's a foregone conclusion. But I would say on top of that, open houses, right? Because how do you get in front of people who are interested in real estate face-to-face in a pretty captive environment is an open house. You get people that are there looking at that home. They might be looking to buy a home, or they might live in the neighborhood and they're thinking about selling their home. So it's a rare thing where you get to talk to home buyers, home sellers, and you get to be face-to-face with people. Because in this market, there's a lot of uncertainty about rates, about what's going on. And getting face-to-face with people is the ultimate goal. In an open house, that happens automatically.
And I think, too, the important piece is having a system for your open houses, too,
right,
and doing it the right way. There's, a lot of agents out there, they just throw it in the MLS on a Thursday afternoon, grab some signs, hope people show up. You have to have the systems in place. So if someone's like, okay, I'm going to jot this down, I'm going to start doing open houses, how can they do it to maximize their time and really make sure people they're gonna generate traffic so people show up?
Yeah, that's such a good point. So we have an open house process here that we encourage our agents to follow to get as many people in the door. Because let's say you're doing an open house on a Saturday in the fall. I love college football, right?
Yeah.
And I say if you're just going to go throw signs in the yard and hope for the best, you should have stayed home and watched a game, right? Because you're going to waste your time. But if you're going to take your time to do it, a few things that we've seen get really good results is before the open house. Let's say you're doing an open house on Saturday, maybe Wednesday or Thursday evening, go door knock around the neighborhood. So go knock on, depending on how much time you have, 25, 50 doors. Invite people to that open house. Let them know that you're going to be hosting it. See if there's anybody they know of that wants to move into the neighborhood that would like to come. Realistically, what you're doing is you're showing, hey, I work for my seller, even if it's not your listing. That's what they think, right? I work for my seller. I work hard. And if they've ever sold a home, I guarantee you their agent didn't go knock on doors to tell people about the listing.
Yeah.
So if that person happens to be thinking about selling a home, they're already going to think you're pretty darn great, right? We also do circle dialing. So we use a dialing system where we can pull numbers from neighbors around there. We scrub it against the do not contact list. So we're calling people that we legally can, and we invite them to the open house. So it's pretty much the same script as when we door knock. We're just doing it over the phone. It allows us to reach more people, so we can call a couple hundred people in an hour, whereas door knocking, we're not quite that quick, so we don't get through as many people. Those two things, along with when you're setting up for the open house, a ton of signs. So those are your three great ways, along with social media, putting on the MLS, obviously, to get people into the open house. And then one real hack that this was actually a young man I coached who did really well with open houses. And he told me that every person that walked into that open house, he thought of them as a potential appointment. So he tried to set an appointment with every person that walked in his open houses. And he said, I didn't set an appointment with everybody, but simply, like we said, by asking, he got a lot more results. And he would get 2 to 3 appointments out of every open house to talk about what people are looking to buy, about selling in the future. And you start getting face-to-face with people, stacking your database, and having opportunities. So I think that is an unbelievable way to go get business now if you do it and really think about it.
Yeah, and I'm going to add, too, be consistent with it.
Correct.
Can't just go do one open house in a weekend and then, I got 20 deals.
Yeah, exactly,
going, right?
exactly.
And like you said, it takes 90 to 120 days to build a pipeline and start transacting on those people. So if you want to be strategic with your opens, you need to do it consistently. And I think I'll talk about Jordan Kelly's a great example, right? She's someone who does opens all the time, and she's only been in this business a short while, but now she's got it down to that system where she's now converting seller leads at these opens and buyers. So it does, if you're consistent, you show up, you have the system in place, it is a great way to start getting business when you don't have any.
Heck yeah.
Now I want to let's go to my next question, which is what you're seeing is like the number one trait that separates agents who are doing really well right now against agents who are kind of struggling. And it doesn't need to be with our team because you coach agents all over the country.
Yeah.
But what is like that one thing you're seeing that is just the common trait to have that kind of pathway to success?
I'm a simple guy, so I like simple answers. I think it's people that take action, right? It's very easy to sit here and watch podcasts or YouTube videos or whatever all day and get a lot of information. Information is infinite, right? Why are there coaches? We're not usually coming up with any new information. We're just helping hold you accountable to it, right? So I think accountability and action taking is what I see in the top agents. It's people who can get the information and not only have the information, but actually take action on it. So rather than saying, I should go host an open house and preparing all day, preparing to prepare to get ready, they go take the steps and do the open house, right? They don't think about it, they just go do it. And I think that so many people, especially in real estate, there's so many different ways to do business, to get business. People will get caught in shiny object syndrome and go from thing to thing and never truly master anything. Take action on something and keep doing it and just keep at it until you get results. And that oversimplifies it, but just take action. That's what I see in high performers all the time.
Yeah. I want to ask you a question. So, taking action, I think, takes a little bit of confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And I've talked with Janelle about how important confidence is in this business.
Yeah.
People can feel it. It's an energy that you have when you walk into a room.
Yeah.
if an agent's really struggling with that confidence, what's something you would say to them to just, help them get their confidence back up so that, when they're having those conversations, people are going to want to work with them, right? Because if you come to somebody, your energy's low, you don't have, you're not on top of it, and people can feel that.
Yeah.
Right. So what would you say is like something they could do to get that confidence to where, when they're talking to people, they are that not like that local expert?
I think two things. Everybody else is always thinking about themselves, right? So we're scared to go into an appointment or go into a conversation or make a call. The most important person in the world is yourself. So we're sitting here talking, and in the back of our minds, we're thinking about things we need to do later, problems we have, issues we need to solve. And so we always give ourselves too much credit, and we're too hard on ourselves. So we give ourselves too much credit for, we think everybody watches us and sees what we're doing and is going to know that we're failing. Everybody cares about themselves. So just go out there and understand that if you can go help somebody, if you can go provide value, they're going to love you because you're helping them and they are important to themselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? And then second would be, like I said previously, just go take action.
Yeah.
Right? If you go take action, it's the thing you fear, I don't know what the quote is, but the thing you fear is diminished when you actually take action and go do it, right? So I'm so scared of picking up the phone and making the call. When I actually go pick up the phone and make the call, I realize, oh, that wasn't that bad. And then I have a good conversation. I realize, man, I kind of like this. I get results. It's actually, it didn't kill me. And so when you have fear, when you're feeling a little bit of self-doubt, just go take action, do the thing, and you'll find out whatever the thing is, knocking on the door, doing the open house, making the call, was never really that scary. It was all of the thought in your head before actually taking that action that was scaring you.
Yeah. And I think too, like you've talked about how you have to kind of visualize your success.
Mm-hmm.
And I think something that's pretty cool that you've shared with the team is when you were first getting into this business and growing is you would kind of visualize every appointment and how that would go and how you would turn that person into a client.
Yeah.
And you were really great at that. How important would you say that is to just kind of have those positive thoughts and because I think that goes hand in hand is if you're thinking negatively about yourself, it's going to impact your business and how you go day to day. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, but not to overstate it, but it's everything. Having those positive thoughts, and I've heard another quote that I've heard somewhere is basically whether you're thinking something is going to go well or worrying that it's not going to go well, you're spending energy either way.
Yeah.
And so you might as well spend that energy towards something positive, right? So, and I didn't do it every time, right? We're human, we're not perfect, but when I would go into an appointment and I would try to think about, hey, this person's going to like me. This person's going to want to make an offer on this home. This person's I'm going to be able to help them, right? And so that obviously wasn't the case with every person I met. But what I found was the times I went into the meeting expecting good things, went into the showing, went into the listing appointment expecting good things, more often than not, I got a good result. But when I went in with a poor attitude, more often than not, I got a bad result. And so it's like, yeah, it's kind of woo-woo, but your attitude really matters. What you put out there usually comes back to you. So you might as well put out positivity and think good things are going to happen. It's not going to hurt.
Yeah. And too, right, like when you were getting into the business, it was kind of a different time, right? You didn't have Zillow leads or Realtor. You were working, what was it, like Craigslist leads?
Yeah,
right?
Craigslist leads starting out, man. Yeah,
so
back in the day.
Right, so the people who are starting today, there's so much more opportunity that's out there. They have social media, they have, like we were saying, online leads are a big thing. So it's like there's a lot of opportunity out there, but you have to go and capture it. Because we can give people opportunity, but if they don't do anything with it, nothing's going to happen. My last question for you is if you were to give somebody like a 45-day game plan of like, hey, do these, this doesn't need to be perfect, but like, Monday through Friday, you need to do X, Y, and Z. And then on the weekends, let's do this. And then you're going to start generating results. What would that kind of look like?
So kind of going back to the first question, I'm going to say those conversations are the most important thing, right? Schedule-wise, I'm going to say own your morning, right? Okay. What I see, people get into real estate and they're like, oh, I love the freedom. I love being my own boss. And I think we've talked about this before. We're usually really bad bosses when we're our own boss, right? We don't set good schedule for ourselves. We don't hold ourselves accountable. So what I would say is own your morning. Afternoons are tougher. Things come up. Appointments come up. own your morning, Monday through Friday, whatever days you want to commit to working, own your morning. Get up early. I like going to the gym, getting started off with something positive, reading a little bit, listening to a good podcast, something motivational, right? So I'm starting out, I'm getting up, getting my blood flowing, I'm listening to something positive, and then I'm getting into my day what I know I need to do, right? My role now is different than when I was selling homes full time, but when I was selling, I would go and I would start prospecting early. I would start my day with prospecting, and every morning to me needs to include some sort of prospecting, some sort of follow-up, right? So you're looking for new people to talk to bring into your pipeline, and you're not forgetting about those people that are in your pipeline that you need to keep moving forward. And so I would say own your morning, have that stick to that schedule, be super diligent about it. And then at that point, once you start having appointments, those are in the afternoon, on the weekends. If you're doing open houses, you're going to be doing some of those activities, door knocking in the afternoons on the weekend or on the weekdays. And then weekends are going to be open houses, showings, listing appointments, those kind of things. So if you can own your morning, if you can take that time from when you wake up, whenever it is, 5 a.m., 6 a.m., whatever you want to do, until about lunchtime, if you can own that and have a repeatable system for you're going to get results, you're going to put in consistent effort, it's on your calendar, you don't have to think about it, that's how you can get yourself in a space to become really, really successful over time.
Is there like a magic number people should be aiming for daily prospecting?
It really depends on what you're doing. Like I said, those 5 conversations, and you can accomplish that a lot of different ways. And it also depends on the stage of your career. If you're new and you're just getting started and you're hungry and you need closings and you need business, I think it's multiple hours a day, right? It's 2, 3, 4 hours a day of grinding. If you're more established, it's going to be a lot more follow-up. It's going to be a lot more appointments. And you're going to be really good at capitalizing on those opportunities you do get. So you're not going to have as many opportunities to create as many opportunities to close more homes. So it really depends on where you're at. But what I would say is if you're not where you're at, you need to look at your output, right? What are you putting out there? What effort are you putting out? And if you want more, usually in life, you got to do more.
Yeah. And I think that's why it's important to have, a comprehensive business plan, right?
Right.
We all have goals, income goals, things we want to be doing, but people don't understand what it takes, the little stepping stones it takes to get from point A to point Z. For you, when you kind of transition, right, and because you said your role has changed a little bit from selling full time,
Mm-hmm.
now you're in the position where you see a variety of different agents, and you also coach, so you see agents across the whole country, just out not in our team. But, you see a lot of different ways that people approach prospecting.
Right.
What is maybe a couple of coaching points you would give so people can really maximize that time prospecting?
I think act first, think later, right?
Okay.
What I see where people get in trouble with prospecting is they try to call the perfect person. They try to go through the database, through whatever, and find the perfect person to call that they think is going to buy or sell or whatever. And what happens is you spend a lot of time looking for perfect, and perfect doesn't answer, right? Especially nowadays, not as many phone calls are picked up, right? There's got to be a little bit higher, especially starting out, higher volume approach to be able to speak with people, to sharpen your skills, to get appointments set. So we'll sometimes see new agents combing through the database looking for that needle in the haystack of the perfect person to call. And they're really excited. They're going to make the call. They get themselves zamped up to do it, and they make the call, and it goes right to voicemail.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the kiss of death for a new agent, because it's really demoralizing. Now, where I see new agents be successful is they say, hey, I'm going to dial the phone. I'm going to call the database, whatever you're calling, the list you're calling, and as soon as somebody answers, it's go time. I'm going to see how I can provide them value, and that's how I'm going to get business.
Yeah, and too, like, to go off of that, like, it's the consistent part too, like just showing up, being consistent, like you keep saying, it's the action.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you're consistent and you take action, you're going to already have quite a bit of head start versus people who are just sitting there twiddling their thumbs.
Exactly.
Praying for business to fall out of the sky, which is never going to happen. Right?
Yeah.
So this market, it's really hard right now, right? Like, yes, we're having a good year. We're up, but a lot of teams are struggling. A lot of agents are struggling. Yeah. Now there's a ton of uncertainty with interest rates, right? And, I think things are going to, be a little uncertain through the remainder of the year. How could an agent use what's happening in this market to actually have those conversations and open up the opportunities within their database?
So I think everybody out there, like you said, there's fear, right?
Yeah.
People don't know what's going on. Are rates going to go up? Are they going to come down? Are prices going to crash? Or are they going to continue to go up? And I think just having conversations, and I always say our job is not to convince anybody to buy or sell. Our job is to find people who are motivated to buy and sell and help remove their fear so they can take action, right? So how do we remove their fear? We have those conversations, explain what's going on, show them a path forward, hear their concerns, ask great questions, and when we do that, we can put them in a position where some fear is removed and they can get into action to what they want to do. We're not looking to make people do things that they don't want to do.
Yeah.
We're looking to help people go accomplish the goals they have by helping them remove fear and see a clear path.
Yeah. And I think too, right, like right now is, yes, there's a lot of fear, but it's also a lot of opportunity, right? Like we can't, like you said, it's not our job to convince people to buy or sell. It's just our job to be there and have the facts and have that information, which is why a lot of agents should also spend time studying the market and understanding how things play out. That's kind of all I really had for you.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining today. If you guys want to like, subscribe the video, and then if there's anything we didn't cover that you would like to hear, just comment it below, and we'll make a video on it.
Awesome. Thanks, Braden.
Awesome. All right.
Thanks,
take care.
guys.
Boom. There we go.
There we go.
27. Edit probably the first,